1, 2, 3.
Yes, it's the Late Late Breakfast Show with your host, Bernie J. Mitchell.
Are you in? Woo!
Are you in?
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to episode 70 of the Late Late Breakfast Show. And if you're listening on the podcast, hello, you can't see me. If you're watching on YouTube, hello, you can see me. And today I'm in Work Hubs, which is my other favourite co-working space. This is where Phil works, which is just by Euston Station in London. So if you come into either Euston Square Station or Euston Main Line Station, this is the best co-working space on Euston Street. So I've got to apologise because I've got a little bit, takes a little bit more time to get here in the morning, but also I've decided to plan what I'm saying more because, you know, I only get 10 minutes for this and I want to deliver as much value as I can in 10 minutes. And I planned out what I was going to say. So then I took too long planning out what I was going to say. So, you know, it was all over. But, so Coworking Europe is coming up at 100 miles an hour, and that is on the 11th, 12th and 13th in Milan in Italy, which is a collection of mainly co-working space managers and people that are enthusiastic about co-working, but mainly people that run places, so community managers, owners, and people and things like that. I was going to say, and people like that. I was going to say, it's the pants. Just in case you're listening on the podcast, but I'm also on Periscope here, which I forgot to mention. So people pop up comments as well. So someone just asked me about my pants, which I'm going to jump up and. Can't see it. Anyway, so if you listen to the end, there is and I'll give you a code for getting a 20% discount to the co-working conference in Milan. And even if it's full price, it's the bollocks. So you need to be there. And even if the conference is rubbish, food in Italy is always bloody frigging amazing. So I was in running up to the co-working conference, I've been going around interviewing people, and I've interviewed which you can hear on the podcast at Bernie J. Mitchell /podcast. So I've interviewed Ed from Cambridge Business Lounge, Alex from Indie Hall in Philadelphia, Sophie, who's one of the co-founders of CoPass, and I've got to interview Ramon and Rebecca again. Ramon is it was the first co-working place I ever went to in the world, well, the first proper co-working place I ever went to in the world, which was in Brussels, and it's called Beta Co-working, and 5 or 6 years later, it's still going strong. Reassuring and expensive, as people say, but he's so good. He wrote the book about it, the Co-working Handbook. So I'm going to catch up again with Rebecca and Ramon about for their interviews, because they died. I think. Sorry, they didn't die. So I lost the file. But as I've been going around interviewing people, there's been this thread of what Alex calls pure co-workers versus office furniture co-workers, and you know, I'm kind of there as well, because I always think of co-working like a restaurant. I grew up in the hospitality and restaurant industry, so I worked in lots of hotels, nightclubs, really awful restaurants, and some really amazing places. And there's, you know, I've worked for big companies, and you know, they've never quite clicked with me. The people have clicked with me, but they've never quite clicked with me. And the ones I've always had the most fun in are where there's a small team of people. It's very owner run. It's usually like 1 or 2 sites, and usually the best ones for me were the ones where there was just one site. And that's what I kind of think of with co-working spaces, is that you know, and I'm very biased, so I don't need to acknowledge that, but places like WeWork, which is the most obvious example, which is, I think, is quite like, what's up, Camden? It's very red and inside and in a basement. You know, they are not just being passive aggressive here. They're doing a really good job, because they've transformed the way, or they're transforming the way. They're like the Airbnb of co-working spaces. And in London, you know, every time you turn a corner, they're either building a cross-channel, cross-rail station or a WeWork. But there's something that's going to be lost there. The example I'm going to use is, you might have heard of Chip Connolly, who now works for Airbnb, but he started a hotel chain called Joie de Vivre, which would have been at the end of like the 20th century, which is in the last century. Chip Connolly started a hotel chain, and he did what's like Airbnb, WeWork, which is a shared office space. And going back to what I was saying is some people call them the office furniture people, and then there's the pure co-working places. So that's kind of where I'm going with this. So Chip Connolly had Joie de Vivre, and he didn't want to make lots and lots of Hilton type places. He made individual one-off hotels. So there was like the Rock and Roll Hotel and the Peppermint Hotel and this hotel. Well, that's not a bad idea. It's not a bad idea. What, the hotel thing? The hotel thing, or the transformative office space that is WeWork? And so every place was a very, very personal experience. It wasn't like I don't know. My favourite story about everything being the same is by a guy called Michael Heppel. It's by a guy called Michael Heppel who has to travel a lot because he's a speaker and does corporate training and stuff like this. So he'd go to Hilton, and there was one story he talked about. He went into Hilton and he jokes about it. He goes, I can't say the name of the place, but it rhymes with Stilton. And I went up to the desk and I was queuing for a long time, and I get to the desk and the lady says, "Are you checking in?" And he's like, he wants to say, he doesn't because he's a nice guy, but he wants to say, well, no, I'm just, wanted to order a blancmange or something. And the woman goes to this routine, and she sticks to her routine so much, even though it's, and he has a crap experience getting there. And she says, have you got any luggage? And he's already holding her luggage. So she's just going through this routine, and he's been waiting ages, and he's, oh God, and he gets up to his room and he goes into the toilet, and the toilet paper's folded into little V's. And he's like, oh, well, jokes, it's all okay now. The toilet paper's folded into little V's. So the devastating experience I had downstairs with a person going through the motions is all washed aside because my toilet paper's folded into little V's. And then you contrast this with another experience where he goes to the Ritz-Carlton, which is definitely a few notches up the hotel chain, and says, drove up to the Ritz-Carlton, and the door opened, and the guy said, "Oh, welcome back to the Ritz-Carlton Hotel," because he stayed there a few years before. And he's like, "Wow, that's amazing." And his wife gets out of the car and he's like, "Hello, Mrs. Heppel, nice to see you." And the other door opens, and the person says, "Oh, hello, hello, you must be Sarah. Hope you enjoy your first time here. Here's a little flower." And I'm like, "Wow, this is great." And they walk up to the carpet, and everyone's saying, "Oh, hello, Mr. Heppel." And he's like, "Oh, this is great. It's like being George Clooney." And he gets to the desk, and this is where it really changes, because the lady says, it's already quite changed, but the lady says, "Oh, hello, Mr. Heppel. I see you stayed with us before. It's really great to have you here. We're going to be doing this, and you're going to be with us for a few days. You might want to do some shopping, go to the spa, go to the swimming pool, go to the restaurants. Can I take a swipe of your card? Because, so you don't have to worry about money." And the bit I missed out from the Hilton experience is the woman said, "Give me your credit card because I need it for security." And the lady in the Ritz-Carlton says, "Let me take a swipe of your card so you don't have to worry about money." And transformative. But the point is, the stuff they did in the Ritz-Carlton wasn't like millions and millions and millions and millions of pounds worth of change. It was just little people thinking on their feet, and they had radios. And the thing is, that story's like 15 years old now. So Sarah's actually, I'm pretty sure she graduated university by what I read about online and stuff. And they were just they created a very personal experience. And I think Chip Connolly does that with Joie de Vivre. I would argue that I think Airbnb is a huge, gigantic company, and there's all that stuff. But at a ground level, when you go and take part in the Airbnb experience and stay in someone else's house, it's a much more personal experience. So in fact, I'm pretty sure, I'm willing to be proved wrong, but how much of that community effect you can create, because in my experience at restaurants, the community was easier to create in a small local restaurant than it was in a gigantic chain place. I think my takeaway from this is that I think you really need a captain, a leader. The Office, yes, exactly. It does remind me of The Office. You need a captain, a leader. My favourite term for this, without getting too hung up on job titles, is tumblr, which is I think it's a Yiddish word. If you know better, correct me. It's a Yiddish word for the guy who gets everybody going at a wedding, and that you need a kind of. I'm hesitating because of I hate job titles, but someone who's like hello, I'm your co-working manager today. In a short sleeve white shirt and a name badge. Doesn't cut it. And the sort of, because I have been that person, definitely, in many, many restaurants, many, many times, when I was the nicer side of 30, is your human experience is, there's more going on. Like yesterday, I got an email, a rejection email from a program I'd applied to, and just going to read this thing on the screen. It's a completely different experience, especially because people can rate. It's a completely different experience. Can you say your name again? Because I've lost it. It's a completely different experience because people can rate people like they do on Uber. And I guess you're saying because of the connection that's available. So yesterday I got a rejection letter from a program I wanted to take part in. And I know the people, and it wasn't the right thing for me anyway, so that's totally fine. But they BCC'd me in saying, sorry, your application wasn't successful this time. We think you're at the different stage of your business and, we can't help you. But they BCC'd me in. So Mr. Buffett has said the Airbnb I stayed in was much warmer, and how do you get these messages back when it was much more? So I get your point, sorry. So you're saying staying in an Airbnb is a much warmer experience. And I would go for that. Every time I've stayed in one, I've stolen less than I thought I would. Invited me. So Mr. Buffett's saying the people they invited him to eat out with, the people he stayed with invited him to eat out one evening, which is I've heard it said more than one time, is going native. So I really, really like that idea, because I don't want to stay. Sometimes if I'm speaking somewhere, I just want to go to a room and not talk to anybody. And if I'm at a conference, I like to have somewhere to go and hide, so I don't have to talk to anyone, because I get really exhausted, and and I want to like people, but I can only like people in short blocks of time, even if they're really nice. So to avoid me being an arsehole, I have to go and recharge. And so that's where I like a room in a hotel where I just go and hide. But going out and meeting real people is really, really important, and going out and having a go native experience, and not going to the local Pizza Hut TGI Fridays just because you don't want to think doesn't work for me. So I need to wrap this up because I just noticed the time. So that's my point. In the I wouldn't say the best co-working spaces, because that's just my opinion, but the co-working spaces I like the best, which is almost the same thing, sorry, are the ones where there's you can tell someone's running it, someone's bleeding to keep the place going because they love it so much. I particularly got that experience when I've been to different cities and had tours of co-working spaces, and the people I've met through CoPass. And it's worth mentioning that the people that show up to CoPass are a specific type of person. So they are the, warm, cozy, co-working, passionate traveller type people, not the people that love commuting. So as advertised, I'm going to continue this because I keep on hesitating now because I keep on thinking of other points. So if you go to Bernie J. Mitchell /podcast, there's the second season of the Late Late Breakfast Show, which is the bigger episodes are about co-working at the moment. If you've got a question somewhere on there, there's you can submit a question for the people that I'm going to interview coming up. And if you'd like to come to Coworking Europe, which is in Milan on the 11th, 12th, 13th of November. So are you saying work bars? I'm saying work hubs is where I am. And the place I was talking about was WeWork. And if you want to come to Coworking Europe, the code is Bernie. Oh, yeah, that's difficult, isn't it? So that will give you 20% off. So you need to go to coworkingeurope.eu, I think it is. But if you just Google Coworking Europe Milan, the site will come up and you can book with the code Bernie, and that will get you 20% off. I think the price is about €400 at the moment. So anything else, give me a shout. I'm on Twitter at BernieJMitchell.com. Love to hear from you, and use the hashtag LLBS, and have a great day. Be careful. It's a jungle out there. Thanks so much for taking part. Thank you.
Please go to BernieJMitchell.com/podcast. Bernie would love your feedback.